Yo, welcome back to yet another episode of the Tried and True podcast where I like to keep it a buck in all pennies with y'all and my guests. We have two phenomenal people who are extremely familiar to me, so I'm not going to give up the goods, but you'll obviously find out who they are. These are also writers, so I'm always excited to talk to writers, just generally speaking. And by writer, I mean we have two people who do exactly what I do. You have blog writers and owners, people who do press kits, and you have published authors and scholars. So, I'll start with ladies first. What is your name? Who are you to me? And what do you do?
Okay. I got you. You want me to sing it?
No.
Okay. I'm Shani James. I am your sister.
Hey.
And I am Judah James' wife.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay. And what do? I do a lot of things. But first of all, I'm a mother and a wife. That's,
Boom.
Number one. I'm a blogger. I'm a birth worker. And that encompasses a lot. So
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. So like full spectrum birth work.
Full spectrum birth work. You taught me the differences. Yep. Yes. All right. And then my man over here.
You want to? Okay. All right. I'm Judah James. I am where do I start? You can say I'm an author, an athlete, daytime job, consultant. I do everything from political consulting to campaign development, nonprofit development, PR, all sorts of activism around social justice and running organizations and coalitions.
Yep. Okay. All facts. I heard no lies. Cool. Today, I gotta get this out of the way because I always forget. I have to tell people I wrote a book. It's called The Deciding Factor, and it can be found on tribalhaven.me/shop. Click the book. I never plug my book, y'all. And it's a terrible habit, but it's because I'm not trying to sell stuff. Also, because I wrote the book, our first however many episodes are actually about chapters of the book, which people know. So we're going to be talking about some stuff in chapter 6. Y'all know, or the viewers and listeners know, I'm super conversational. So none of this is scripted. I don't have like a bunch of stuff I wrote down. I got like a couple of points that I want to make sure I bring up to y'all because I believe they'll be relevant. But chapter 6 is what we're going to be talking about. That's what I said 6, right? Yep. I think originally I said 5 and I switched it to 6.
Yep.
Yep. I think me and Desan ended up talking about 5. So I had to.
He stole my chapter.
Yeah, I had to swap it out. Was it Desan or Dustin? Everybody name started with a D. But chapter 6 is called, before I forget, Afraid to Change. And I harp on this a lot, the change thing, because while it is something that has always been and will be, for whatever reason, humans suck with it like so bad. And it doesn't make sense on paper, but I suppose in the grand scheme it makes sense because it keeps us in a certain mind state to always need spiritual grounding, because that'd be the only thing that like remains. The principles remain, things like that, unchanging things. So that it makes sense in that way. If you're a spiritual person, if you don't believe in any of that, I know you're having a rough time. But afraid to change. So I won't harp on it from the same perspectives that I have in episodes past, because I talk about it in we talk about it like every day, all the time with people, and then every time I see y'all, we probably talking about something changing and how we're dealing with it every single time. But I noticed in the chapter something I brought up was, and I'm gonna start with you, Shani. Something that I talked about was divorcing what you know to receive something new.
Yes.
And letting go of tradition. Now, I also, and this is when it gets tricky, because consistency is key. Mm-hmm. And in order to have consistency, there has to be a level of tradition or uniformity, like things that don't change. So when you start talking about the importance of dropping tradition and letting go of what you know, and then on the other end of that, one of those like timeless principles is holding on to what you know and continue to do what you know. That's when you get this unusual dichotomy: the importance of consistency, versus not even necessarily versus also walking in and operating alongside the importance of running with change in the wind. So if change is the wind, allowing it to carry you. So
Like Pocahontas.
that's exactly what I always think of. The colors of the wind. I don't remember all the words to that. But you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Yep. With like the feather and the leaves and all that. Yep. I don't know. I don't know if you saw that.
A lot of words. No, I know the words.
Okay. You know it?
A little bit. Not this.
You know it. You know it.
I would reference Moana today. Because, Moana.
But there's what wind was there.
What's the wind?
Oh.
You want to get that deep, that quick? The wind,
Moana had the wind?
The wind, the spirit was...
Okay, the water.
What are you trying to...
I understand. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Fire, everything.
Flow.
We're gonna actually talk about movies later.
Okay.
So save that because I'm curious.
That's what I said. I don't want to get deep that quick.
Not yet.
The wind was helping Moana.
Not
How
yet.
did the water move? The water can't move without what? What makes the water?
But did they sing it?
The wind. It wasn't a song about the wind.
That's the problem. Because see, Pocahontas sang a song about the wind
All right.
and the colors of the wind.
We went back to 94. Like,
I mean,
Hey.
baby.
Was it Pocahontas 94? It was something like
The
that.
funny thing is,
if
that's accurate, that says so much about you. You know exactly when Pocahontas came
it
out.
was between 94 and 97. Why are you trying to trap me?
Well, let's not age ourselves.
We have 2 daughters. Anyways.
Yeah, that's facts. Do they like
that's why you
are they into Pocahontas?
No.
Oh.
So he's just saying that.
Have they seen it?
Watched Pocahontas.
She's watched it once.
Okay.
She wasn't into it because she just wasn't feeling.
That's unfortunate.
I wasn't feeling it either. That's why I
Well,
brought up Moana.
Hey, all right. No Pocahontas slander will be tolerated. We need to get that out the way. I'm gonna write that on the wall. No Disney movie slander will be tolerated.
All right.
But back on topic.
My bad.
Because you're someone, Shani, who because you're my sister, I know this as facts. You've experienced so much change from start to finish, like literally top to bottom, and we're still not done. Everything has been changing for us and rotating for us since birth and even in the womb.
Mm-hmm. Revolving door of change.
The revolving door of change, which we have lived in.
Mm-hmm.
For you, I would like you to first, if you can, describe the importance of consistency. Mm-hmm. And areas of your life, if you could give some examples where consistency has been what carried you through.
Yes.
And then we'll talk about change.
This conversation is just so important. We were just having this conversation. That's how I even said revolving door of change, because he was like, you don't do well with change. I said, my life has been a revolving door of change. So that consistency from beginning to end, for me, it needs to really permeate in areas of like routine. Right. So the things that you can keep.
All great
normal,
people have a routine.
Exactly. The things that you can keep normal and consistent and keep in a routine are the things that you need to, especially when things are changing, so that your mind can remain clear and open.
The things that you can keep in a routine and can keep consistent, you need to.
Yes. So and there are different levels to that. So for some folks, homelessness, which I've experienced, you've experienced, he's experienced, sleeping in your car, things like that. Can you brush your teeth when you wake up around the same time? Can you brush your hair? Are you able to clean yourself? Are you able, if you're in a home, can you clean the dishes, right? In the same way, can you do those things in similar ways every day? Can you read? There are things that you can do that you can have control over in your life to keep your space clear and your mind clear. So you live in your car, sure. Can you keep that car from getting too junky so that you can have your space clear, have a comfortable space, even though it might not be what you're wanting it to be? It's a changing space for you. Can you keep it a safe space for you to think, for you to grow into your next space?
All right. You said, now, and I took this note, so I don't even know if I'm paraphrasing it. I might end up saying it exactly how you did. A little different. Humans yearn for consistency. So it is important for us to give it to ourselves in ways that we can, that make sense.
Yes.
Because it feeds a necessity. So we got to find a legitimate way to nourish a legitimate need.
Yes.
And oftentimes we try to find illegitimate ways or ways that are harmful because we have these outbursts and just like too many things start changing at one time and you don't take care of yourself, little by little as you go. And then it turns into this big big thing, and then you might break down. People
And you
break.
lose control.
You break down, you lose control because you don't have control and you're trying to take control of things
Right.
you can't control. So give consistency and routine to yourself in areas that make sense, in ways that make sense when you can,
Absolutely.
because a lot of times you can't.
Yes.
Very few things do we actually control. And we try to tell ourselves we control things, and we don't. So we do control the way that we use our time. You brought that up. So if you can wake up consistently at the same time every day, even if you don't have to, traits of successful entrepreneurs. I have removed myself from an environment where I gave another person power to give me structure. So in order to succeed, I will provide said structure for myself. I will, although I don't have a boss telling me to be at work by 9 a.m., I will get up at 7:30, give myself 30 minutes to do whatever, eat my breakfast, and I will work at 9 a.m. every day to give myself consistency in an area that makes sense in a way that I can. So
You got it.
just pointing that out. And then change, the other end of it. An area of your life where you tried to hold on and couldn't. And if you didn't let go, it would have sunk the ship.
Mm-hmm. You directing that towards me or towards Judah?
You got the next one.
An area of our, you didn't say our, you said my.
Yeah, well, you know.
Well, so I would say housing. That's one that, housing and people for me. So housing.
It sounds like home.
Home. Yeah.
You take housing and add people.
Home, because that's both.
Mm-hmm.
People and in my place that I want to call home. Since the beginning, I've never had that. Never. The home now, I've realized, because it keeps changing, it's going to keep changing, is with my kids and with my husband.
The physical place.
The physical place
continues to
change. I've let it go, and that's okay. So I held on to things also that maybe people gave me, or things that
like
I
a
had
hoarder.
A hoarder, straight up hoarder. And I end up losing everything, literally everything.
Anyway,
yeah. Because those things can and will change, and I don't have control over those things. People literally change. They go, they come, they pass on, transition into the next. And so those people that you latch on to as your home, those things can also change. And I was holding on to those things tightly, but you just can't.
The circle cycle. When the circle, your inner circle and your friend circle, family circle, the circle of people who are around you will change.
Yes.
It's the circle cycle.
I just struggled not to sing a song when you said
You know who made that up? Me, just now. That's a good one. I should write it down. It's the circle cycle. Yeah. So that's also tricky because you have some people in your life who are there to stay and you never really know, but you believe them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got some people in your life who say they're there to stay, but they are not. And sometimes you can tell up front. But more often than we admit, we can't tell for real. Because it'd be people who you thought were there to stay who would have, but like you said, mortality.
Right.
Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. I didn't know I was going to make it here today. I just have faith that if I drove here, I'd end up here. But you never know.
Right.
And we know, everyone in this room knows that. Facts. So what you said was you let go of something like your physical home changing, your housing changing. You let go of trying to hold on to that and decided to hold on to the thing that was unchanging, which was your family. And you realize that's actually my home. Right. That's what makes the house the home to begin with.
Exactly.
So you divorced that thing that you could not control and you married that thing that was there regardless.
Hey.
What, 12 years now, right? Yeah.
13, boy.
We're going on 13.
Hey, congratulations. We got a bomb.
13 years.
We gonna
That got me.
Yeah.
That got me. I didn't know Yeah. I thought it was gonna take a few seconds. That was quick. You gonna see what these podcasts drop, how many times that bomb has scared me. Like I'll be like,
I kept the poker face just now.
I didn't, but luckily I was already smiling, so it looked cool. I said, hey,
I almost looked like a real bomb drop.
And that time I actually called it out. Sometimes he just hits it because he knows, like, I'll be like, oh, I wish I had a bomb we could drop. And then 5 seconds later, I'm like,
Yeah.
Let's get under the table. Nah, all right. All right, that's fly. So, Judah, I got something I wanted to talk to you about because the way our relationship set us up also was even during a time when me and Shani didn't spend much time together, me and you were together every day. So for all the listeners and viewers, this is my brother-in-law, but this is my brother, or I wouldn't call him that, because we have brotherhood weaved into our relationship, the real kind, all the way through it, through life experiences. So I have some answers to this question, but my answers are not better than yours. I want to know about a time when I want to talk about going all in, because going all in relation to consistency and change, going all in on something is rough on both ends, because if you're remaining consistent in the level that you were at so you can succeed in that level, to go all in on something new is to remove that consistency. You might not divorce that system altogether, but you're going into a place and in on a thing that will alter what you have set up so that you can get to a new place, whether it be, like a higher level of whatever you're doing. Maybe you want to go from good to great. And what you were doing was good. And you found consistency and uniformity and you have a routine, but you got to let that go in order to get to great and then be consistent there. So it rattles the consistency, and it also addresses necessary change, because there's no way to proceed forward without getting off of the square you're standing on. You can't. It's impossible. The square may move, but you'll never be in a new place. And you'll always be on that square, even if the square moves. You have to get off the square. So, a time when you were afraid to go all in and literally went anyway. Not a time when you went anyway, a time when you were afraid and went anyway.
I think for me, that would be, giving a little bit about my background, coming from a GED into admitted to a university. I think that'd be just the last 13 years of my life, because I think everything I've done, I've been on the, avoiding being a statistic, to not accomplish that. So there's always a fear of, I'm not supposed to be successful at this, whether it was like walking on to the
imposter
track team.
syndrome.
Yeah, well, some of it, I wouldn't say, I think numbers don't lie. You know what I'm saying? That's the reality that we're kind of understanding today. Just there is a reality to nature, as we talked about that, and so there's ways where you can put yourself at a disadvantage, where you have to admit where you're at a disadvantage. So I've always been working from a position of a disadvantage. So when you talk about consistency, and change, I've had to pretty much change all my plans. But, what's I would say I'm grateful for in my journey, grace. I mean, when I say grace to the Most High and not myself, because I didn't learn this from a person. I can't say I take credit for this, but for me, I had to stay true to principles and consistent to principles, because life was always changing. So even in the time we're living in now, 21st century, it's unprecedented. So the social media been out 10 years, you get what I'm saying? So there was no way to be planning your childhood in the 90s, early 2000s, and then be prepared to do even this here, because this is a new outlet. So
This didn't exist.
yeah, so this couldn't have been a dream or goal for most people. So for me,
It was never mine.
right? But
Ever.
when it comes up, you have to adapt to the
You
moment.
just wanted to be a Pokemon, honestly.
Honestly.
You see? So that was me. I was just like, man, NBA, I'm going to play college basketball, you know what I'm saying? And then I'll eventually sell a storyline to LeBron James or somebody like that. I'm not going to write a full script. I'm not a writer. I'm not an author. That was my plans at 17. I was going to marry Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Look at you now.
Cheat on her with Drea, right? I had it all figured out at 17. But on the serious side,
yeah, we all had it figured out at 17.
Yeah.
I had 100 years of my life planned out at 17. No joke. That's no
we
cap.
talked about
I planned
that,
out
yeah.
100 years of my life by the month.
That was we went through that together. We
None
both
of it.
planned out.
None of it happened.
See? So for me, I realized, say, a principal example is, consistency with your work ethic. I look at the very few things in life you can control, and I always think about that every day, every week. What's in my control, with my daily schedule. You know what I'm saying? So as an athlete, there's going to be hours in a day for me to find 30 minutes to 75 minutes to go ham. You get what I'm saying? I can shift things around to control that. It might be hard. It might be at midnight. It might be at 1 a.m. or it might be at 5 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. or noon. But I've had to figure out what I can control in my day to make that happen. So like that's what I did when I wrote my first book at 24. That was consistent. I used my work ethic from sports to get that done. And then that allowed me to be a writer, you know what I'm saying? And go on and write scripts and whatnot, and then do like deeper stuff. Like now in my late 20s, and now that I'm 30, nonprofit development and legislative laws and everything and bills. But it all started, I didn't think I would ever write bills, you know what I'm saying? They got passed, in Colorado and whatnot. But I had to change. But what really never changed was my work ethic. But that's where I said it came from.
Yeah, I'm going to end up talking about that too, just
saying?
So you know.
So like that never changed. That was consistent. I always found a way to make sure the work was getting in. But everything's unprecedented. So like I said, it's just being aware. I think having maximum awareness of your life in the current season that's how I go about sort of when to change, when to jump ship. You get what I'm saying? Is just try to have awareness, and that would go in like martial arts and stuff, as far as like aware of your surroundings. So literally each month, each week, sometimes with my current work right now, it's like you have to look at what the hell is trending that week. It don't matter what was trending last week. You know what I'm saying? It's like on the PR side, if you're doing PR for somebody, that's how you get, press, which you learn, that's not to name drop, but I believe in kudos how we do. So like my sister, she's top political consultant in the country. So I did learn a lot from her, like
Shout out
PR.
to her.
Yeah. And so with like our company, I've learned that like with PR, you can't, if you missed it last month, you missed it last month. You got to come to the press with what's happening this week.
Relevancy, period.
Yeah. And so, but that's a form of change for a lot of people. I've worked in spaces where people are trying to do ideas that was hot 4 years ago, and their life has gone down because it's like that's not even a thing anymore. You're not a pioneer of it and anything. So I'm doing stuff now, like I was a pure power athlete, like just short bursts, heavy lifting, deadlifting, I couldn't run a mile, in college, couldn't run. I would just skip track practice and just ice my shins, do anything to avoid running a mile, but I had to adapt to be able to run half marathons, as part of my regular training. And that allows me, like this year, I'll be like debuting. I already started competing last month in Spartan races, like and stuff at one of their new events, like at an elite level. But a lot of folk, and this isn't like in an arrogant way, but when I look at myself, most of my friends were athletes. And when I look at how I've been able to do it, I look like make the transitions I have. It's been because what you're talking about, able to change, know what to change. Like I didn't keep chasing the same things, but I stayed consistent when I needed to. So that allowed me to be ready to be able to adapt and do these different things that I do.
You said a few things, and I took a few notes. There's things that I want to jump back to, but there's one thing that you just said right before you said that last statement, and the last statement you said caught my attention, made me forget the other thing.
My bad.
But you were dropping some nuggets. I'm gonna go through what I got here, and then maybe I'm hoping it'll come back to me. And I'm gonna go top to bottom on these, like the order that you said them in. And I'm not necessarily paraphrasing, but I'm gonna rephrase what you said for listeners and things, because I'm gonna make sure, first of all, we're conversational, but we're educational first. And I like to eliminate excuses for people not to apply this information. So I'm gonna say it in a different way for all the people who feel like maybe they didn't get it. You mentioned that, you said it different, but you mentioned that your fruit is your proof. You said numbers don't lie. When I asked about imposter syndrome, and I understand the correlation between the two, someone else got lost right there. But the theme of that is you can do it because your fruit is your proof and your numbers don't lie. So believe them. There are people who have gotten comfortable accomplishing on the level that they're in because they're really, really good at it. And there are people who are afraid to step off their square because they're not sure if they can actually handle what's next. It's not even so much that they love where they are. It's that they would love to do well where they're going, but they don't know if they're going to do well. And they're afraid to mess it up. And there's not really a way to practice certain things other than to just get in and do it. You can do all the research you want about judo. You can read all you want. But until you get on that mat and get thrown around by this man right here and twisted up into a pretzel, and then you can't walk for a couple weeks because he did he did an ankle throw, and I couldn't walk for like 3 weeks. I couldn't walk right.
It was an accident that happened.
Until you get on the mat, I could have read all I wanted to. It's different. It's different. And there's no preparing for that other than to do it. Doing it was that we were doing it to prepare. That's how he was teaching me. I could have been afraid to go to the gym with him and get on the mat, but I've done other things well. I understand my principles remain consistent in new arenas. My work ethic. I can bet on my work ethic on the mat, just like I can bet on my work ethic in the office, just like I can bet on my work ethic in the studio. And even with this podcast, I can bet on that, which is another point. I'm not going to go in order. I'm jumping to the bottom now. If you can remain consistent in the midst of change, you talked about how things around you continue to change, but you remain consistent in your work ethic. You knew what you could bring to any table you were at. So if the table changes, that's fine. You can still bring the same things to it.
I would add one thing to that. I would say because I think work ethic, and you would know like with your work ethic, there's another principle that I think is really not talked about that, like it's how I brought up like grace, you know. I would say when you look at like integrity and these character attributes, because also it's like being able to, now this is hard. This is like some, I don't want to say monk-like stuff, but you do have to reach a point depending on your endeavor where you learn how to control your emotional state, like your behavior. And how we talked about, like my wife was saying, like, you know, different things happen where it's like, well, we're not doing that anymore. But it's like, well, what controls your behavior? And so like for me,
hold on. This is another point that I'm getting to. Don't go there yet.
Okay.
But say the same thing and then expand on it in just a second.
Okay, all right.
That goes with you remaining consistent in the change in different ways. Now, before I get to that last point, because I'm going to let you talk about that again as well. So first of all, none of that stuff I just said matters if you're not honest with yourself about your skill level. So you don't necessarily have to know everything you don't know, but if you already know that you're not fire at it, be real and do the digging and up your skill set. Also, if you already, listen, this is even worse. I probably dislike this worse than other people who really believe they can do everything and ain't put an hour in to figure it out. What I dislike even more than that is people who have put the hours in to figure it out and are 125% capable of doing it, and they don't believe in their skill set. I can't stand it. Be honest with yourself about your skill level. It's not pride for you to be real. You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. You've been through it before already. You've already done it on so many levels already. If I put a gun to your head and told you have to teach me how to do it, and then you could teach me how to do it, it shouldn't take me putting a gun to your head or telling you that you'll never reach your goal for you to teach somebody how to do. Get up in front of people, show them how to do it. Get up and go for the opportunity. Do it in front of an audience. You've done it in private so many times. You've put in the 10,000 hours. Be honest with yourself about your skill set. And I was terrible about this. And I have to work on this every single day because I let humility morph into shame sometimes. And I'll tell myself that I actually am not who I am sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it's not wrong of me to say to myself and other people, my name. It's my name. I'm fire. You use my skills. I'm not telling you I'm fire to tell you that you suck. I'm not trying to steal your opportunity. I am saying I do this better than you, so let me help you.
What was that Cole song? Apply Pressure.
Applying pressure. Starting my with Crown Festa. Yeah. Yes. Sometimes you just got to do it at the level you do it in front of everybody just to let them know because they don't think you really do it how you do it. And to go along with that, oftentimes you need to see you do it. Oftentimes you need to see you do it. Mm-hmm. You need to get up and prove it. Mm-hmm. Prove it to yourself on another level. It's different. It's different being in the ring with 30,000 people. It's different. That's why a lot of fighters, some fighters were doing well when they were getting in the cage and nobody was there. Some of them were doing better than they normally would.
Last year in the bubble, everybody was clutch because there was no fans.
In the So you're seeing bench players popping out because there was nobody in there to scare them. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you've proven your skill set. Do it when they fill up the seats. Mm-hmm. You owe it to yourself. We've seen what you can do. Now the coach is not going to they ain't taking it no more because they're like, no, I've seen you. Mm-hmm. Prove it. Okay. All right. Next. I made a video. I don't know if it's out or not yet because I don't know when this podcast is releasing yet. But it's about your involvement being conditional, but your effort not. I owe it to myself to say yes and no to certain opportunities and to get involved or not get involved with certain opportunities. But my level of effort, if I choose to become involved, is consistent. It is unchanging. I will put it in the dirt. No matter if I signed up to do it, whether I like it or not, when everything changes and I don't like nothing, I don't like the people and the feeling fades, it's not exciting anymore. My level of the product I produce, that's not negotiable.
All right.
If I sign my name, it's going underground, period.
Sign your name on the petty kind.
Yes. Exactly. So your involvement should always be conditional. Your effort should never be conditional. That's that work ethic. And then this is the point that I wanted you to expound on some more because you were about to. Talking about what I can control, not what I want to control. What I can control, not what I want to control. Controlling what you can control. When you were talking about that monk type stuff, you were talking about controlling your behaviors, remaining consistent, your emotional cycle, the way that you move through your emotional cycle and the way that you operate, especially under pressure. Some cases, it'll be like as a safety measure, you need that consistency. You can't just move at the drop of a dime or allow your emotions to run you or anything. Like your feelings can't make certain decisions for you. Expand on that because that goes along with controlling what you can, not what you want to, because you can control what's on the inside for the most part. You can control your reaction. This is a different point. I don't want to go there. You can control your reactions. You cannot always control what happened prior to.
Mm-hmm. That's like, I think this is where I was saying, being married, that's what I was leading to, where it's like, that really was the foundation before my work ethic, because for us, as a husband, and we're both like a 50-50 like couple. We're not like, it's my, the Derek Jackson. It's like, no, but we're not like, no, sit there and be quiet, right? If anything, you might be like that for me. It's like, no, but sit there, look pretty, and just don't do nothing, boy. But no, but like really though, like our foundation, like the principle of our marriage, right? People don't realize like we was married. I was 19 and like and she was 20. So like we survived, college together and whatnot. But the principle of it was we were friends, right? And so friendship is a principle, right? You can chase that can remain consistent, the type of friend that you are. Some stuff can happen. I can do something fake, but like, let's say even within our brotherhood, there's always a friendship component to that. And then there's a provider, component. And so for me, that was, like I said, that other grace, because I was never really afforded to be able to slack in certain areas that other like young men and then now like adults, people may be able to, or that they choose to, because I stay true to the principle of making sure that I was always setting up my family, even with just us. We didn't have a first kid till I was 25. So we were together 7 years before we had kids, right?
Something like that.
7 years. But it's like, we rode together though. So it's like all my decisions reflected her, like my behavior reflected her. So I always wanted to be somebody that my wife could be proud of. So it doesn't matter what's going on around me. Got to switch jobs, not doing well in class. Like my behavior, like how I hold my head, that identity as a husband for her was like I said, that was a choice. And so having that, how I said, the awareness to see like, well, how would this look, if I was like this, you know what I'm saying? If I let myself get slumped in this season from a work ethic standpoint, of whether it's being lazy, or if I didn't get up out of this hole or the mud, because we've been through like mud and highs and lows. And so she's witnessed me do that, you know, as a African American, as a Black man, like the highs and lows of our experiences. But I've never could just be like, I got to be stuck in the mud because I don't have myself to, like my reputation is not just me. So that was, like I said, if it's like, hey man, if all I can do is go, you know, David Goggins, right, and go ham, right, then that became part of my identity, which was a blessing. And that's where you learn like lessons, like make sure sticking answering this question. That's where you learn, you know, how to do this change, and practicing always doing something physical to represent, you know, that mental or whatever spiritual thing you're trying to manifest. And marriage is a physical practice. Where you get what I'm saying? You can't just like, oh man, I love you. I think I love you. Like there's got to be action behind it, and what you do. So that was a blessing. And then, like I said, then my athletic training was a blessing because that's like can't just, oh, man, I'm badass, I'm tough, you know.
In some places, they would call what you're talking about prophetic gestures, and in other places, they would call like what I call it is proof. And it's like proof to self and others, your actions lining up with your words. Because it's proof, like it reflects your principles. What you do reflects, like, are you practicing what you preach or preaching what you practice?
Some of it
chicken,
you can
egg,
control,
whatever.
You know what I'm saying? People confuse what looks pretty and like just because something is not like pretty or that it's not a desirable situation, that everything has to go to crap or match like the worth or standard of that circumstance. But it's like, well, you can find ways. It doesn't mean that it's easy. That's the other thing. That's why I said I was not good at this, and I haven't even mastered it now. Now the level I'm at in it is understanding where I'm at emotional. Like if I have a certain assignment at work that I might feel is beneath me, I even say I'm going through that stuff right now, you know, where it's like I might be silenced in a certain way and not, you know, using my executive hat or leader hat. And I'll be aware, this is how I feel.
It's literally
right now.
The story of my whole life.
But it's just that awareness, this is how I feel, and being able to summarize that, but then say, well, let me not let that, you know, sort of change my behaviors and the principles where it's like, even as marriage, some things may go down where you just like how the leaves, I always say, the leaves gonna fall every fall. So relationships is the same. It's going
cycles.
You're gonna have you go through mandatory cycles. So it's like, if I feel like this in the fall or winter, let me make sure that I put myself in a situation to better control my behaviors, to make sure that I never go below this standard. So it means you might only hang around certain people. You know what I'm saying? You might not kick it with certain type of women. You get what I'm saying? Or men, for that matter, like friends. You might not go to certain environments in certain seasons. That's all awareness. And those are things that you learn to control, that are in your control. Even when it doesn't seem like it, you learn that they're in your control.
Facts.
Sure.
All facts, not one opinion. I got 2 questions, Shani, and I'm going to you. Same question for you, but I got another one following, just so you know. A time when you were afraid to go all in on something and you went anyway.
Ooh, what? Okay.
One of many.
I mean, where do I start? Where do I start? Let's see. Time when I was afraid.
And I want to talk more also about what you do. He talked about what he did, which was perfect. Yeah. Get into what you do.
Man, okay. So a time when I was afraid to go all in, but I did anyway. Well, I could start off with making friends. I went to 10 different elementary schools. Okay. I didn't know how to make a friend. That is still a challenge for me today. So starting in Colorado, after moving from New Mexico and California and all these different spaces and places and people and things, and just having to jump into how do you even relate to another person? And you grow, you mature, high school, college, that's still a challenge for me because I am a growing person. I have a lot of growth every single year, totally different person. Another great example is my degree is in human resources. First of all, I changed that from accounting, which I got excellent grades in accounting. So dealing with the resource is the human and pouring into the human as the employee. That's what I invested my time and my pennies into.
It's like the goose with the golden egg. I don't remember the name of the goose. Was it just Mother Goose? I don't know.
I think it was just goose.
And it was like everybody wanted to take the eggs, but not take care of the goose that was producing the eggs.
Yeah.
And then after a while, the goose couldn't lay any more eggs because they didn't take care of the goose.
Right.
It's like the people are the resource. So you don't take care of your
Exactly.
employee, they will no longer produce this golden egg at some point.
Exactly.
You got to take care of them.
That's why I stopped caring about the money, started caring about the people.
Mm-hmm,
So I moved into the people as the thing, as the investment. And I loved working in that space. Shout out to my Aunt Linez.
Yep,
always
I
gotta
remember
shout
all
her
that.
out.
Yeah.
Worked for a huge public school system here as one of the only human resource representatives at that time. Had to just jump in and train people in a space where I was just brand new in.
I remember that.
Huge deal. And it doesn't function the same now. That was a big deal. But then I became pregnant.
Yep.
And I
with
found
Zazu.
out, and I found out, wait a minute, Black women's mortality rate during this time, pregnancy, I was very much affected by those stats and nearly losing my child.
Yeah.
And I said, there are more humans that I need to take care of outside of corporate spaces or education or whatever.
I'm glad you say that because now you're about to loop in your experience from HR and life
Right.
into what you do now.
Yeah, the birthing space. So I'm a birth worker. I no longer call it a doula. There's many reasons for that, but I'm a birth worker. So I'm a full spectrum birth worker. So if you are going through fertility issues, if for some reason you need forced miscarriage or abortion, which we're having major issues across the country with rights of your body, and autonomy and stuff. So I work with people through those issues. There's so many different topics with just the birthing space and birth work, from, like I said, fertility, abortion, birth itself, taking care of the body as it's going into that birthing space. And then afterwards, how do you take care of your body after that? How do you take care of your body in preparation for the next, if you decide to birth as a birthing person, right? As a birthing human. And how do you take care of these little people? Because those little people grow into those bigger people who you're trying to protect as a resource of humans, right? And so for me, I said, wow, this picture is so much bigger. And it was a scary thing to do, to abandon the education that I had already.
You did that quick too. That was just
Quick,
like a few
quick.
months turnaround.
Yes, a couple of months. I didn't have the money for it. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the connections, but I literally ran in like a Spartan going into war and just with a battle cry and said, yo, I got to help. I don't know where I'm going to do it. And at that time I had a stroke. So it was hard to continue to focus, right? And to remember, the things I was being tested for. I'm also a lactation counselor, and now moving into the space of a birthing educator, a birth education, childbirth education facilitator. And I work with some amazing people. I've worked with some amazing people, Paulina Ericksees, China Tolliver. And so those people I latched onto as my mentors in a space where I was like, this is difficult. I fear what is next, but what is next is more important than that square I'm standing on. And mediocrity is going to do nothing for me.
You skipped, I think.
Major?
No. I think that first obstacle was you got to leave. The stroke was a year and a half into it. You started displaced. Our home flooded out.
We were home.
Oh, yeah.
You could have easily went back
Displaced
into HR,
already.
but you went into...
Easy peasy, could have went back into my salary.
I remember that.
You went back into, or you went into this new industry. Sorry, that was just,
Yeah, thank
a
you.
little small.
Thank you.
But it was major.
Home flooded. We're literally don't know where we're going to live. We're moving from house to house to house with family, right? And space to space, uncomfortable space to space. Keep it real, right? Having to
At this point, was Zazu born?
Yeah.
Zazu,
She was nursing,
her
man.
birth.
All right, so you're nursing
I planned to go
Zazu.
back to work.
You're nursing Zazu. You're changing your profession, which you were finally getting comfortable in.
Yes.
And your house floods.
All displaced.
Yeah.
So change on all fronts.
Not just like water.
And you experience a
sewage.
stroke, which literally messes with the brain because
Yeah.
it's a brain thing.
Yeah.
So change on all fronts.
Yes. My body has changed because I gave birth. My mind, the physical, chemical things going on in your mind change. My space around me is changing. I'm grasping onto whatever consistent thing I could possibly, whatever thing in my life I can try to keep consistent. And at that same time, I'm running into change fearfully.
Talk about that sensation, that fear. I don't want to. I think what happens with a lot of people who are in the strategic or motivational spaces, they harp so much on the product of the process, and they harp a lot on the product of the solution. But I don't think they talk much about the things that'll prepare people for that environment, like the environment where you will be. You know, like you talk about winning the war, but you don't talk about the stench.
Yeah. The bodies of the death of the war.
Yeah. So
you got to lead with your first sentence about how you switch from corporate. It's my fault. This is because how you said the brain thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm pregnant. So I
yeah.
forget everything.
Yeah.
It's 5 months pregnant now, but you switched from corporate. You were in there to help people, but you said when you learned about the as far as the infant and maternal mortality, the need grew to save people in another area. But that was back to what we both were saying, the principle. Because during this window, because we went through it together.
Make sure you say it to the mic.
Yeah. During this window, my father went to quit. Remember, you were so focused on the people. I don't want her to pass up this like beast mode opportunity. I don't think she was focused on fear. I think her dedication to people blinded her, gave her tunnel vision from the consequences. Because that's my role as like her husband.
But before we get there, I need you to describe that cold, dark, wet room.
Yeah. Okay. I absolutely will, because it is a very
because like I said, I'm removing people's excuses.
Oh yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that. What does that feel like?
Talk about what did you feel like?
What did I feel like? Okay.
Emotionally first.
Emotionally unstable. I felt emotionally unstable. I felt emotionally all over the place, right? And not all over the place. And my emotions really manifest physically because I have severe anxiety, and I've always had severe anxiety, okay?
Yep.
I've always had to manage severe anxiety, agoraphobia, right? I meditate to go to the mall. I meditate to go into spaces with new people because I have to. I've had to do that since 2nd grade. I taught myself to meditate so that I could go to school. So
these fears and anxieties were affecting your body as well as your body affecting your body, because you had bodily changes happening on the reg anyway.
Like you're vibrating, but like your cells being kind of like torn apart and put back together over and over again. And I can equate it to a couple of things like there's a movie. Oh, this is a good one. Wasp and Ant-Man or Ant.
Yeah. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
She talks about literally being pulled apart and back together in the pain of that, right?
Yeah.
And you're just not physically in the same space at the same time. And so with your emotions and your physical self and your thoughts and the level of intelligence and things that you have, your education, all those things being in different spaces, like I'm very confident here, but I'm also running into this space and I'm having these medical issues and all these different things kind of pulling me in different directions. And yes, I do tap into beast mode on a different level, on a spiritual level. I'm a beast. Okay, when it comes to birthing my own children, I'm a literal beast. When it comes to helping people, I'm a beast. I beast everything. But that doesn't mean that I don't experience the same lows as anyone else.
And that is where the excuses get removed.
Right.
Boom. Because I talk about how people are and can be heroes, although none of us are super.
Right.
Yep.
I
could go on about that, so I'm not even going to get into it, but yep.
Right. And my superpower is not, I'm an anxious person. I don't have it together all the time.
Yep.
I don't. I call for help.
That's where humanity steps in.
Right.
It never really leaves.
And the fear of change is real because mediocrity is comfortable. Or staying where you are. I don't want to always call it mediocrity because where you are might not be mediocre. You might be miles ahead of the next guy. You might be miles behind. It's still comfortable to be where you are because you're very familiar with where you are, right? But it's not the best place to stay stagnant. Back in the day when we used to go to our dad's church, there was an example of staying where you are is like being not a wave pool, but on a beach where the waves are pounding you. If you stay still, you're actually slowly moving backwards. You're slowly moving. The sand from under your feet is being removed. You can only move forward by picking your feet up. And even if it's comfortable, it feels like you're in the same spot. You really aren't. You really aren't. You're being pushed slowly backwards until you realize you are no longer even in the wave pool. You're not even in the water anymore.
If you're not growing, you're dying, because you're dying anyway. And the only way to go against that and make it like the death not come quicker to you and your body and your mind is to grow.
Right. We weren't made to be in the same spot.
It's
and not
science.
grow.
It's science. People can't argue that. That's facts. It's like what you're saying. Yep. So now let's talk about you described that room. Now let's talk about the time when you came out of that room and you started and you were there. Like you got off your square. You got off your square and you got to the new square. Now let's talk about the new square. Let's talk about the benefits, and let's talk about the priceless experiences that you exchanged your fear to receive. When you got into the new working space as a birth worker who was willing to fight head on and put your head down and just hit it with the horns. Let's talk about what you did to put yourself in a position to succeed. You talked about getting help, getting mentors.
Yes.
Talk about it.
I connected myself with people who I saw in this space were just monsters. Straight up beasts, sharks in the water, real dogs, right? So some folks that were on the ground making change. I connected myself with those people. I contacted organizations and said, I don't have the money to obtain this certification or this credential. Do you have scholarship? Because what I'm trying to do is be a Black woman in this space serving Black women to better this space, and that will trickle down into everyone else.
And you wanted it bad enough to drop pride and do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going through something right now where I want something and I can't get it, but I've reached out and said, hey, how do I get this? Give it to me.
Tell me what it takes, period.
Absolutely. And it's not that I want it handed to me. No.
I want to know the steps, not so I can skip them, so I can take them. I'm
going to take them. I'm going to take them with grace, okay? And I'm going to snatch them. I'm not just going to take them. I'm going to snatch them. So.
And that is a consistent thing about you. That dog is consistent. That dog goes everywhere with you. It is you. And I talked about previously, I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to point this out. I talked about previously, it might have been in a different podcast, that if that dog is not in you for real, it'll show.
Oh, yeah.
You can't fake it, and you can't fake it for long if you find a way to fake it.
You can't.
Because that dog can smell that dog, and that dog can smell fear.
Right.
Simple as that. The sharks will know if you're bleeding.
Oh, yeah.
Simple as that.
And they come.
Yep. And then when you do have that dog,
you ain't a shark, buddy.
When you do have that dog, you don't have to force that dog. You just are who you are.
Yeah.
You are who you've already prepared to be.
Yeah.
Under pressure. Under pressure, you will be who you have prepared yourself to be.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I guess moving into that space, connecting with mentors, some of this might be a little bit of a combo meal of an answer that Judah, my husband, can help fill in, because it was a weird time. And I actually have a hard time remembering sometimes because of what was going on with my brain. But I connected myself with a woman, Paulina, who trains the WIC educators across the country, who holds the breastfeeding conferences. She is she's BA, like she's just badass. You know what I mean? China, who right now has Rise Up Midwife, one of the biggest midwife merches companies right now. But before that, she was a doula. She was doing volunteer doula work here out in Denver. And I connected myself with those people and another woman named Louisa. And I said, hey, my brain is going crazy. I'm actually struggling here, but I want to serve. And so they said, well, this is how you can do it. This is what's happening in this space. And Mia, I don't want to forget her. And I learned to be an unapologetic. And that's big for me because I am a beast. but I also might say sorry a little too much. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I learned to be an unapologetic Black woman.
You don't want to water yourself down to appease other people.
And I used to do that. I used to say,
Same.
well, I'm kind of like, I might be a bit too much. And I realized, no, I'm not a bit too much.
That goes along with the imposter syndrome.
Right. I'm not baby food. And so if you're not ready to partake in the, you know, the little nuggets I'm getting, you'll be ready. Just come back. You know what I mean? Then that's okay. That's perfectly fine, because I do add to this space in ways that another person can't add to this space, right? And I'm helping out around here, so that was a big deal. Connecting myself to people who were already doing the thing and being honest with myself, not just about the things that I could do or that I can't do, but things that I can do.
Right.
So that was big. For
me. Okay, and I have. You dropped a lot of bombs, so we're not going to do a bomb because it would be a lot of bombs. And I'm not prepared for it. People, the listeners, I don't know if it's as loud for y'all as it is for us in these headphones, but it's startling. So we're not going to drop a bomb. You gave too many nuggets. I encourage people to rewind what you said and what you said, Judah. I encourage people to rewind and listen again. I'm not going to give too many bullets because I interjected as you went. And I want to ask the next question. I'm going to start with you on this question. And both of you, if you could keep your answers not short, but not long-winded, so that I can hear what you both have to say, this one back to back. I'm not going to put anything in between. But I want to talk to you, Shani, first, or actually, I'm going to give you a break. Judah first, about the importance of proactivity versus reactivity. And I don't want to expand on it too much before I ask the question. But the difference in proactivity versus reactivity and the importance of being proactive, because like you talked about, it's like a downward escalator. And if you stand where you are, you're actually going to go downward. And if you move at a regular person's pace, you'll actually be in the same place all the time.
Right.
That's a tough one. For me, I'm going to be very probably in the middle here, which you should rarely be in the middle. But this is one where I think that you hear me talk about like awareness a lot, like awareness of your surroundings, awareness of yourself, and awareness of what you want to accomplish and what you need to accomplish. And I'll key in on that because I think there's times where life reality, and this is with, our story, the last few years, life can put you in a position where you need to be reactionary. And this is some new modes of thought that I'm learning, because that's what the whole purpose of this, topic is change. So you can plan on being, sort of proactive and rather than waiting, seizing the moment. But I think it depends on where you are on your journey, because it's no different than say fighting. I'm learning this now. This is big in martial arts. Sometimes, you might think you have an advantage to say walk somebody down and control the gripping game and just, control that opponent, but they might be better than you at that. So if you're not adaptable, we all have different life journeys. So it's funny you're talking about this. That's what I got. It's what I speak on a lot for, like, in my professional space, adaptability, because sometimes you really might not be able to control if you're going to do 7 a.m. workouts every day, or if you're going to, we go through some marriage.
Y'all have small children.
Yeah.
So it's like simple as that. It's some things that you
have to respond to. So like, I think on an interpersonal level, like if you go through that seasons of marriage, I'm not going to be able to control if she is happy or not, or how she's feeling in life. That's like a misconception with marriage, just like it is with like life, career. It's all the same, but I can't control that. So I have to respond to her. Might not be able to, whatever worked last year might not work this year. So I have to respond. Then there's times where I may be able to then be proactive and put the pieces in play for my family to be in a good position. So that principle, I won't touch on that to be short on like every topic, but I'll say the same goes for your career. Like there's moments where you may need to be literally hunting down the window of opportunity. And then there's times where you actually need to be still And that window, that revolving window will come back to you. And I see a lot of people turn their back on that window.
Because walking it down could lose you the fight.
There you go. Like I said, and there's times where it's just like, it's no different than chasing the bus back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Where it's like, sometimes the bus driver see you and you might not be at the stop and he knows, oh, you ride this every day. You're going to get to the stop. But, there's instances where you might have to run so that he sees the effort, he or she sees the effort. And then they let you on. But there's other times where it's like, just sit still and just wait and be ready. But if you turn your back, like back in the day, we ain't have all this stuff. Now there's bus drivers, 21, man, I lift, man, shoot, 73.
Talk about
Park Hill, if your back was turned right when it was time, if you wasn't getting on that bus,
you're not getting on the bus.
Because the driver might have been trifling, didn't want to stop.
And it depends, and the driver will change.
And you hit it, new driver. I didn't know you want.
You can't control that.
So, like I said, there's windows where I think for each person, that's benefit of listening to this podcast. And I mean it, genuinely, like listening to folk like you, reading your book. This is just real. I'm not trying to force promo, but because
do it because I won't. As you can see, I haven't brought the book up again.
The more aware you are into these things, the more aware you are into this, then the more when these windows.
And I have a chapter about self-awareness as well. I don't remember which one it is, but yes.
You can identify like this sounds like my life is more so in this moment. Because there's been seasons where it's like, get your ass up and make it happen. And there's been some last 2 years, it's like, just sit here and master this and just be facing the bus stop. And that's all I'll say. It's like I physically can't make anything happen, but all I can do is be ready.
Yep. And I'm perfect way for you to end that because something that you just talked about is, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. There is going to be a time when you only have time to react and not act first. It happens all the time. That's what this current episode is kind of about when we talk about change. There's times when you can only react. Be proactive in preparing your reactions is what I want to say. Be proactive. What did you do in the offseason? Every angry coach is going to wonder. They always going to ask that. Or every angry fan. I'm gonna ask that question. If a game is on and I'm seeing a player at the height of the professional league missing open shots or passes or whatever, my question is gonna be, did you not practice? Or I'm gonna be like, well, why you got the glove on if you just gonna drop the ball anyway? I'm like, you got to be proactive in preparing your reactions because you're gonna have to react. What did you do in the off season? Keep your body right because sickness is coming. You're gonna get sick at some point. That's why they tell you some people to save up 6 months of your rent or your mortgage or whatever because there's a low on the way. You know what I'm saying? Like winter is coming. Winter is coming, okay? You the one who decided not to get a jacket in the summer when it was discounted. Okay. And winter is here. And unfortunately, the blizzard came at the beginning. That's your fault. Okay? You can't control the weather. But come on. Winter's coming every year, without a doubt. All right? So be proactive in preparing your reactions. Simple as that. Okay. Proactivity versus reactivity. And you touched more on reactivity also being a thing that needs to be recognized as a necessity. Like your reaction, sometimes you can only react. So whatever angle you want to take.
Honestly, agree with you know what?
Agree with me?
I was about to say, yeah.
We didn't know if we wanted to come here and disagree. I'll say full disclosure. We disagree a lot
on most things, and that's
probably
okay.
Disagree today, but we were like, it's in the marriage podcast.
Well, I think that's on purpose. I mean, not on purpose. I think that's important, but that's a different. That's another.
On this show, we told ourselves that.
Yeah. But no, okay. So, no, I think it's very important to be proactive. And even like you said, in your reaction, being proactive, I think that you can't even be adaptable without having already been proactive in a thing. That preparation is that proactivity. Being reactionary is equally important because there's something really interesting that he's done for years, the last, I would say 10 years of being pregnant. Throw random punches, right? And they're not actually trying to hit me, but it's teaching me to
provide some context.
Right.
Yeah. No.
He don't. This is not no DV. No DV.
No.
Yeah.
So teaching me to be able to easily protect myself, keep my guard up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It might sound crazy, but it is what it is. Like,
Yeah. Well, because
I don't do that. Yeah.
and for the listeners and viewers, obviously he is an extremely experienced martial artist. Among all these other things, he's an experienced martial artist, and he has taught us both survival tactics, and he's taught us strikes, blocks, all this stuff, kicks, throws, whatever the case may be, all kinds of stuff. So what you're talking about is him making sure that you stay ready so that it'll become a reaction.
Right.
He's helping you prepare your reaction.
Yes.
Because under pressure, you don't have time to think about what you do. Your body's just going to move.
Yes.
So what did you do in the off season?
So I would put on
And I had-
And not to cut you off, but to help explain that, because it sounds weird and botched.
It sounds weird.
No,
it does. But I've had situations, crazy situations I haven't talked about, opened up to him about, where a homeless man tried to attack me, literally around the corner from my family members, and I was pregnant. But that homeless man wasn't able to get a hold of me, do anything, because I was ready for his arm. I didn't even know it was coming. I was boop, boop, boop. I was already ready for it. That was a reaction, but I was prepared for that reaction. If I hadn't been prepared for that, my reaction would have been delayed, and who knows what would have happened. You know what I mean?
Your reaction was like a Bluetooth. It was prepared for what he brought you.
Yeah.
Ooh, it was prepared. Ooh, that's a nugget. Okay, anyway.
I know.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, so
I don't know what y'all talking about.
Oh, the church.
Oh my gosh. With the organ.
Right.
And
So,
he said,
yeah, that's
You
what
need
how
one
I
of
feel
them.
about it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely we don't get that. No. But yes, all right, not to cut you off.
You didn't.
Yep. So it sounds like what you're saying is being a reactionary being is not an excuse to not prepare your reactions.
Exactly. You'll know what's going to come at you, but you better be able to block it, ping, pang, boom it. You know what I'm saying? If you can't do that, then you might just get snatched up.
You will get snatched up.
COVID last year was a good example. Like there's time we were
Period. Global pandemic.
But
Right.
see, for us, though,
Exactly.
we were so prepared that we basically planned for it. Like we saw it in January in LA in a hotel. I was sick in LA, and we saw it. So that was like a real out of the last decade, that was a pretty chill 6-7 months.
It really was
lockdown because we had it all planned out. Like from our,
you were already ready for something that was on the way.
That's where we were, proactive with that.
Right.
But
Interesting. So 2 things. All right. Give me 1 sec, y'all. 2 things. This water bottle is different than my normal glass bottle. This is Doge Drip. So first of all, and I think I told you this. I don't know if I told you this or not. Everybody's familiar with like Dogecoin. I didn't realize that my homie, who used to be my manager in music and a partner in the label that I worked for when I was the president, if y'all know Supreme Mason, the Fly District, he created Doge Water. And he created their apparel is him. So obviously, like the cryptocurrencies, while they're associated with these companies, they're actually different. It's like they're their own company kind of, but they're like a partnered sort of. So this whole thing with Dogecoin and all that, which I'm invested in, I encourage people to buy in. But this whole thing with Dogecoin is phenomenal because my friend is experiencing success, and this is his water.
Excellent.
Also, I would tell him if it was garbage, and I know he's watching this water's good. And it's Rocky Mountain water, so it's local because that's where we're at right now. Obviously, everybody's going to be moving around, and we're all in different places. Nonetheless, Colorado is known for the quality of our water.
Yes.
Simple as that. I usually am loyal to this other water company that I'm not going to name. It's great, okay? Spring water is very good. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. This is up there with that, if not better. It might be better to me just because the homie made it. So I'm going to say it's better. And then also normally there's another water company that y'all see on some of the podcasts. I still rock with my mans too, but it's just this Colorado water is doing it. So I'm going to just tell y'all, get with the Doge Drip, get invested in the Dogecoin and get you a Doge t-shirt, all right? Because you got to have that dog. So also, we got a lightning round coming up.
Okay.
So answers need to be quick because they got to be your first answer.
That's you.
But if you literally don't know and you draw a blank, just take a second
Pass.
and get something. You can't pass. It's impossible. I might come back to it though, but you can't pass.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna start.
Sean.
Start with Shani.
Start with Sean.
All right. Cool.
Lightning round. Go.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm gonna get. Yep.
Okay. Favorite movie?
The Matrix.
Easy. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not gonna ask you about that. What about you?
Blade.
Yeah.
Ooh, two great answers. Man, I think those are
Probably not, but you said rapid. so
yeah, no,
that was
yeah.
the first
Hey,
thought.
those
Watch
might
that
be
so
the
much.
best answers I've gotten. Wow. Whoa, we. Okay. Favorite book?
A Child Called It.
You're the only reason I even know what that is. And I won't tell people to read it, but if you are not one of the faint at heart and you're not squeamish or something, read it. Favorite book?
It's a toss up between two. The Wilderness Detours, No Wilderness, No Promised Land.
We're going to talk about that too.
Or The Strong
Who wrote
Black
that?
Man is
Who wrote that
Waldo.
book? Who wrote that first one?
I did.
Okay, we're going to talk about that in a minute. And what's the second one?
You got it, yeah. The Strong Black Man is Black Waldo.
Boom. All right. Favorite food? Right now, it
Chicken
changes.
biscuit.
Chicken biscuit.
Chicken biscuit.
Where from? Your house or?
No. Well, I don't want to plug Chick-fil-A.
All right. Yeah, you can say it, whatever, because we plugging.
I mean, chicken biscuits or my pasta, my lasagna, my enchiladas.
Yep. All right.
yeah, I've been
Yep.
snapping lately.
Yep. I can dig that.
If it ain't my salmon, it's going to be my salmon and some Japanese ramen.
Ah, yes. Yes.
Spice with
Legendary.
with
Yeah.
The
avocado.
legendary salmon. And Shani told me about your ramen.
Yeah,
The
it's
ramen
bomb.
is-
So I'm
It's
going
better
to
than
assume it's probably legendary, but I'm going to have to come
It
check
is.
game on that though, because I'm a ramen connoisseur.
Yeah. He taps into his ancestors and it just.
All right. I'm going to check game on that too. Favorite person right now?
My kids.
All right. Don't pick one, obviously,
No.
but because you wouldn't be able
I
to.
can't.
But and they're for all the listeners and viewers, they're literally on the other side of that door, probably having a blast, eating up these delicious dried fruits.
Mm-hmm.
I had a strawberry bomb.
Oh, the drive. Yeah, yeah.
Where'd y'all get those?
Brittany got them
Yeah, my
from
sister got 'em.
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, yeah, fire. All right, your kids.
I'm going to have an emo answer. I don't have one right now. That's just the season it's in.
That's cool.
All
I
right,
do love my wife and kids.
that is an answer. So
Yeah.
I'll take
Yeah.
it. All right.
They're my favorite people collectively.
Generally
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. And then what's your mantra right now?
Well, I always say stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Is that the season you're in that you're telling yourself?
No, just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Another phenomenal line from a phenomenal movie that was made by Disney that we will not slander.
I tell myself that a lot.
Just keep swimming. I'm not even gonna get into it. That's literally save people's lives though. Your mantra right now.
Evolve or perish, and that's genuine.
Who said that?
That's me.
Evolve or perish. You jive turkey.
Yeah.
No, I heard that.
Yeah.
That's all facts. We just talked about that, so I won't get into that either. We just talked all about that. What's your favorite accomplishment to date?
The status of my marriage and the happiness of my children.
And it's extremely unique and it should be sought after because it's rare. And I'm glad that you're even able to say something like that. It's dope for me to watch as I aspire to get to that place as well.
Thank you.
Favorite
Yeah,
accomplishment?
I have to agree. I think just that really is what I feel like my only accomplishment is, to tell you the truth.
Like the one that matters?
Team is just we going on. We're entering this June. We're going into 13 years together. So
Yeah.
talk about disadvantage. Yeah, just that would be the real one. Everything else.
13 years of marriage or 13 years of
We've been
just being
for
together.
13 years,
Together.
and we've been married for 12 years now. We're married for 11 years now.
11 years, yeah.
11
Our
years, going on
ceremony was
12
10 years
Yeah,
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got
but
married
we've been
2010,
married 11 years.
And then, but you get the point. We got to do math now.
Yeah.
And so-
Yeah. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
hey,
And with
you
the
got a
kids,
partner in
yeah,
math,
Yeah, we got to
Right.
think
which is
math.
more important than a partner in crime.
Yeah.
You learn that
And
when you get
it
older.
really starts to override accolades though.
Yeah.
Even though it's
Yeah,
cool,
exactly.
You know,
Accolades, the accolades change.
I just told you I was proud of myself for something yesterday. I did, but I forgot the hell what it was.
Yep, but you'll never forget that wife and them kids, brother.
Yeah, no, yeah. Exactly. That's
Unless
real
you had an
talk, though.
amusement park.
I was feeling real proud.
You might,
I
but-
forget. I was what was it yesterday? I don't even know. Remember I said I didn't think I could do this. I feel good about this.
Did you fix a cabinet?
No,
No.
it was an actual
Oh,
thing.
never. I remember. that's flex that we won't say now. But even that though, what I just did, the first thing to come to my head is just us. It's 12,
Facts.
13 years.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I got one more thing to plug, and it's this t-shirt. All right. This is Antics Apparel. This is a local clothing brand, phenomenal, run by Coco. They call it Coco. So Antics Apparel, get online and get you the Antics Apparel. This is themed by the Revolution. This is obviously you see the Panther, and then on the back you have all power to the people. All power to the people, because the people are the resource. That is the goose that gives you that golden egg. Take care of the people and give them the power. All right. So Antics Apparel. Real quick, also, I'm gonna land this plane. Right before I do, Shani first. What are you doing? Where can people find what you're doing, like what you have going on, and where can people find you?
Okay, what am I doing? I'm still doing birth work in some capacity. I'm writing my blog, The Mommy and Shani.
The Mommy and Shani is the blog.
The Mommy and Shani, yes. You can follow me on Instagram, Shani_Snow. And pretty much that's the only way you can reach me.
Facts. All right.
Where do I start? What do I say? What should I?
What's the next thing on the thing on the calendar that people can support or get involved in?
I think, yeah, you know what? That's what it was. No, I was really thinking like what I want to, I would say this, we're launching this Thrive Health and Safety Network. Well, it's already launched. So I've been running my own show, my own sort of community show for a few years now. So this Thrive Health and Safety Network is the like culmination of like legislative bills, both of our experiences, all the networks that I've got into in DC and sort of nationwide, and just our experience. And that when that tips off, that'll tip off. Like that's that is an amazing. It's gonna be the best thing.
Yep. And then a funnel for people to find you or support you.
You can pay attention to the Thrive Health and Safety Network. The ads, you guys will actually see that next week. Like literally in June is when that will be launched on social media. So we have a little Instagram account right now, but that'll be
where can they follow it?
Instagram right now.
What's the page? At name?
Thrive Health and Safety Network.
Yep, just how it sounds. Thrive Health and Safety Network.
Yeah.
Follow the page. The ads are coming soon, so they will be in front of you. But literally, if you don't want to miss it, then follow it now. All right. You're dealing with networks that a man had to sacrifice to acquire the pieces to build it. Okay. So the fact that he's letting people even view what he has going on here and maybe even tap into some of these resources is something that other people charge extreme amounts for. So follow the Instagram. Okay. I'm going to advise people to do that now. All right. Landing the plane, and I'm going to give a quote from the chapter. I think I forgot to do this in the last episode, but I'm going to give an important quote from the chapter as a final remark. The quote from chapter 6 says, "Fear is directly tied to a person's progress and the lack thereof. This is what it means when the fear of success is mentioned. People with said fears are those who won't put all their eggs in one basket or go all in, and consequently hold themselves back from greater harvest than they're already used to. They become stuck in a violent cycle of average living, and whether they like it or not, mediocrity becomes their legacy."
Smooth landing, Captain.
Yes.
Landing the plane, Tried and True Podcast. Get on the YouTube, subscribe to your boy. Thank you all for coming. I will give you a dap. I will give you a dap. There you have it.